let's go right to the audience. How many of you here are Spanx women?
Yeah.
Everybody. How many of you are Spanx women right now? Yeah, most everybody. Well, that's great. I got here sort of halfway through everything, and you get this card that says go to room 424. You guys have that? I was like, really? What's in room 424? I went up to room 424, and it was like a bra party up there. You could hear walking down the hall people screaming. I'm like, I think I'm in the right place. So if there's anything going on in Washington, D.C. today, it is in room 424 of the Mandarin, okay? I don't know of anything else. I really don't. Okay, so I want to get a sense of how this all came to pass, Sara, because when you came up with the concept, how did it start? I mean, what was it that you were pitching?
Well, it was actually my inspiration was my own butt. So that's where the idea came from. And
that's a good one.
I could not.
Did you say that?
At the time?
Yeah,
to
like,
myself?
was that part of your pitch?
As part of my pitch?
Yeah, like I want to pitch Spanx. My inspiration is my
butt.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where it started. So I could not figure out what to wear under white pants. And I had never taken a business class in my life. I'd never worked in fashion or retail. I was actually selling fax machines door to door when I cut the feet out of control top pantyhose because these pants hung in my closet for 8 months. And I recognized that there was a really big gap between traditional underwear and the heavy duty girdle. Right. It was like, I just didn't want panty lines. I wanted a nice smooth look in my clothes. I wanted my clothes to fit better. And so my own rear was the inspiration.
That's fantastic.
I might be the only woman in the world grateful to my cellulite. Look what it's turned into.
And like, back fat, right?
Back fat,
God.
A little bit of that cellulite.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
Okay, so, but seriously, when you were trying to get the concept sold or trying to get it funded, what was, and I now mean this in terms of being a woman at the negotiating table or a woman trying to pitch a product, what was that like, and what were some of the challenges that you confronted early on?
Well, when I think about when you say pitch the product, I mean, I had $5,000 of savings set aside from selling fax machines. So that was what I used to start the company. But when I was going door to door to the hosiery manufacturers and really trying to pitch them the idea, that was the toughest part of my journey. Because it had never dawned on me as a consumer, but everybody making our shapewear and hosiery were men.
Right.
And it quickly dawned on me
that makes no sense, actually.
Right. But then I realized why it had been so uncomfortable. Right? Because the people making it were not wearing it, and if they were not admitting it. So I was like, where are the women? I want to talk about this idea. And so I went from mill to mill, and they would always ask me the same 3 questions. They would say, and you are? And I'd say, Sara Blakely. And they'd say, and you're with? I'd say, Sara Blakely. They'd go, and you're financially backed by? And I'd go, Sara Blakely.
Great.
And they'd show me the door and say, you know, no thank you. I mean, I was breaking into a very commodity-driven industry where they didn't want to slow down the machines and try my quirky idea or what they called my crazy idea, especially when they found out I had $5,000.
So I hear along the way you found a way to get your message across, even dragging people into the dressing room. Yes. I love this story. I think it's important because I think when you're out there on your own and you're trying to get a message across, you have to be brave. You have to, I think, oversell rather than undersell. And I think women tend to undersell themselves while men lie. They totally oversell. They're full of it. They don't mean a thing they say, but they know it's effective. And we've got to get comfortable doing that. But you drag someone to, I love this story because it's a way of saying, look, I got this. Let me show you.
Right. That's true. And that you're referring to Neiman Marcus. Neiman Marcus was my very first account. I looked them up in the yellow pages. And I called the local Neiman Marcus in Atlanta where I lived. And they said, we have a buying office. It's in Dallas. Maybe you should try calling them. I called the person on the phone until she picked up. I said, I'm Sara Blakely. I invented a product that's going to change the way your customers wear clothes. Will you give me 10 minutes of your time? I'll fly to Dallas.
See, I love that. And you got to think that way.
And she said, well, if you're willing to get on a plane, I'll give you 10 minutes. And I went there, and 5 minutes into the pitch, I mean, I could tell I was kind of losing her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, everything about this woman was perfect. Her pen matched her shoes, you know, everything. And Neiman's,
One
I
of
was like,
those.
and I showed up with my lucky red backpack from college. I mean, that was my presentation bag. My friends begged me not to bring it. They were like, please buy a Prada bag, return it the next day, whatever you need to do. You cannot go to Neiman Marcus with your lucky red backpack. But so I'm pulling pantyhose out of my red backpack, and this woman's like, and all of a sudden in the middle of it, I go, will you come with me to the bathroom? I just think you need to come with me to the bathroom. And she was like, excuse me, and I knew I had to show her.
Yeah. And you went in there with her.
I did. I walked down the hall. I went in the stall, showed her without my Spanx, my white pants, and with my Spanx.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
And she immediately, she goes, oh, I get it. And she goes, it's brilliant, and I'm going to put it in 7 stores. I know.
I love that.
It was unbelievable. So I called the manufacturer that finally gave me my shot, and I'll never forget that phone call. I was like, Sam, it's Sarah. I need more Spanx. He's like, total silence on the phone. Awesome. He goes, what do you mean you need more Spanx? I'm like, Neiman Marcus just bought it. He goes, please don't take this the wrong way. I thought you were going to give these as Christmas gifts for the next 5 years. Like, I go, Sam, I'm telling you, women will want this. So she shipped it to the 7 stores. I called every friend I had in those 7 cities. I mean, I was shameless. It was like, hi, do you remember me in 4th grade?
Note to self, be shameless.
Go buy this product called Spanx, and I will mail you a check. And I paid everybody to buy Spanx and to go in and say, I'm looking for this product called Spanx. And right when I was running out of friends and money, Oprah called and
oh my God,
chose it as her favorite product of the year. So
there are so many great messages in there. By the way, even going to get your friends to buy it, that's ballsy. I'm sorry, that's awesome. And that's really kind of, you gotta think outside the box, and you gotta not be afraid. You got to keep going. So how would you characterize your company's success today?
Well, we take risks. We're innovative. We listen to the customer. We are obsessed with what do you want, what is working, what isn't working. I love to ask people questions. You know, I am my own consumer, so I categorize us. This is how I feel about the fashion industry. I feel like the old adage, beauty is pain.
Yeah.
I call that BS before Spanx. Because it doesn't have to be pain. And I realized by breaking into the industry that the reason why was because the people making almost everything we were wearing weren't having to spend all day in it. So there wasn't that extra bit of love or that extra bit of attention. I mean, when I first invented Spanx, I stood in the hosiery mill and realized that they figured out sizing by putting them on plastic forms. So these 3 guys were standing next to me and they put my Spanx on a plastic form and they're like, they had their clipboards, they're like, yep, that's a medium. I was like, ask her how she feels.
Yeah.
You know, and then I found out they weren't sizing their waistbands. So I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, oh, the same waistband, an average size waistband goes on a size small and an extra large. I said, why? And they said, you know, because it cuts costs in production. It's faster, it's easier. I'm like, we are sizing our waistbands. A size small woman should get a small waistband. So there was so much I learned, and that's what is exciting about Spanx. We've moved into activewear. I got rid of the camel toe. I know that's probably not appropriate to say.
No, that's important. Does anybody need a definer on that? Because if you do, then you need to call Sarah.
Yeah, so we got rid of the camel toe on our active
Thank
pants,
God.
which is the center seam that goes between your crotch and the waist.
Oh my God.
Not attractive. And then our bra, which everybody's getting, is called Braleluya. And you know, we thought of the 2 elastic bands that go across our back. That's the way a bra has been made for 100 years. But why? It pinches our skin. It grabs, you know, our fat across our back. And so we just started playing around, and our back is all hosiery, and the straps are hosiery. It's very comfortable. So everybody gets a Braleluya at this event.
424, guys. So I love, you said the word risk, and I want, oh gosh, I want that to be one of the takeaways of all your great stories, because it sounds like you took a lot of risks.
I did, and you know, one of the things when I really sit and think, why am I comfortable taking risks? What is it?
Yeah, where's it come from?
I was really lucky. When I was growing up, my dad used to actually encourage my brother and me to fail. And so I would come home and sit at the dinner table, and he would say, Sarah, what did you fail at this week? And if I didn't have something, he would actually be disappointed. And I can vividly remember coming home and saying, Dad, I tried out for this, and I was horrible. And he would high-five me. And what I didn't realize
that is so awesome.
I didn't realize it at the time, but he was teaching us that failure is not trying versus the outcome. And so with Spanx and everyone saying it was such a bad idea initially, and you know, I feel like I feel much freer to be willing to, you know, fail in the traditional sense because I'm not focused on the end result. And the more, it's like working a muscle. The more you're willing to risk something and maybe fail, you realize there's always a really awesome hidden gift in it.
Exactly.
You know? It's either you meet someone new that brings you to a different place in your life, or you learn something new, or, and so I always was really excited by how my life grew by every risk I took.
Your failures can often be the best things that ever happened to you. So we have one question from the audience, and it is the one man in the audience. I'm not sure where this is going to go, but Warren Buffett is here.
Hi.
Oh no,
Warren. No. So your question, sir.
I have a question for him. Are you
I have a
wearing
couple.
Spanx?
Do you wear the man Spanx? Warren, come on.
I just she just gave me a pair this morning.
Oh.
And so far I haven't tried them on. I'm afraid I might be too dangerous with this group.
Do you have a question for Sara, Warren?
How about making a deal?
Ah, I like that. So yes.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Must be the Spanx that did it, thanks.
Very nice. Okay, that's awesome. So there is a whole man spank thing.
There is, and we reinvented the man's undershirt because it had been ignored for 100 years. Nobody paid any attention to it. It was white and boxy and bulky and didn't look good under men's dressers. So I just started playing with it in my mind. We tapered it in at the waistline. We added a little bit of Lycra to it so it has more stretch. It doesn't stretch out as easily, so.
Are they selling?
Yeah, they're great.
So do the men buy them or do the women buy them?
Both.
Both. Just
Both.
wondering. Just wondering, because they tend to oversell, you know, men, things. They tend to oversell. And I'm wondering if your advice for members of our audience would be, what's the concept about putting your own message, your own product forward? Is it to be fearless? Is it to oversell sometimes because by nature we sometimes don't? Or what do you think the best piece of advice is you could give away if you only gave one?
Oh gosh, well, for me, I've always trusted my gut through the journey. I think it's very important to be authentic with your messaging. Spanx is never advertised formally. We're 13 years old. It's been a very word-of-mouth brand, and I really think that's very important in all of our authentic messaging. When I first started, I hired my weaknesses as soon as I could afford to, and she's here in the room. Lorianne Goldman is my CEO, and she's amazing. So
Where is she?
She's
That's awesome. You
yeah.
hired your weaknesses. What's that?
Well, I was every department for 2 years because I couldn't afford to be anything else. And
Okay.
I learned very quickly I am not good at this, or this is not a strength. And so 2 years in, I hired Lorianne to be the CEO. We actually met in the hosiery department at a Saks Fifth Avenue. And she's been with me for 11 years. And she's been growing the business, and she's a phenomenal operator. She's strategic. She's been great at building the company, and, you know, very, very important part of the formula.
How important is collaboration when you're running a business?
Very.
Trust
Very.
between women?
Yes. I mean, we have 170 employees, and I think, what is it, 130 of them are women? 140 of them are women. So I love working with women. I find women to be extremely good at multitasking and rolling up their sleeves and getting the job done. So.
And do you urge the women who work for you to kind of push a theme in terms of the way they do business, whether it be to be aggressive, fearless, take risks, or is it more just they're already a part of the team?
I always ask everybody in the company to think outside of the box, to be very innovative. I like to stop people and say, if nobody showed you how to do your job, how would you be doing your job? Just sit with that thought. And I'm basically a case study of someone who did not know how it was supposed to be done. I mean, no one had shown me. I'd never taken a business class. So I find there's so much amazing, creativity that will surface if you stop and get off the autopilot that we're all on. Everybody's doing something because somebody else showed us how to do it. But if you really want to create big change in the world or in your life, it's going to happen when you do it differently, or you take a risk to do it different than how the 50 people or 100 or 1,000 people before you did it. So really encouraging thinking that way inside the company, and as we grow, still remaining entrepreneurial, having fun.
So you don't have as many men working for you? I'm just curious, my own, because do you see a difference in the way men and women ask for things in the company?
I mean, we have so many women, so it's not as prevalent probably in our business or industry, but I encourage all the women to speak up, and we're a real...
Well, I met some of them in room 424, and they speak up. I'll tell you that much. When did the bra start?
So the bra started, the first Braleluya was all pantyhose, and the concept was, how do I make a really comfortable bra?
Right,
and then
that's a challenge.
Yes, and then it became this with the front is regular molded cups, so you get good shape, and the underwire gives you lift. But then I said, let's make the rest of it the pantyhose, so it doesn't dig into your shoulder, it doesn't fall off your shoulder, and it doesn't give back fat or bra lines, and gives a really smooth look in blouses and dresses and stuff.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, one gentleman, Warren, Sara Blakely, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Room 424, get your Braleluya. All right, let's do it.
Thank you.
Think we go this way?